Coming up on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Hello, I'm Lindsay Wagner, and welcome to Final Curtain, the last episodes on Sci-Fi Channel. Now, if you've been watching the Sci-Fi Channel, you know that we've taken a look at how some of your favorite series got their start on our first and second annual Pilot Playhouse presentation. Well, this time, we're going to the other end of the spectrum. TV shows, like many things, eventually come to an end. Our first final episode is Beauty and the Beast. By the time this series reached its conclusion after 56 episodes, Catherine was gone, and so was much of the romantic theme. The last episode is actually the second half of a two-part program. And in this show, Vincent and Diana find themselves on the trail of a serial killer, and this search takes them back to a mystery that happened in the tunnels 20 years ago. Much of the finality in this story centers around Father, who's torn between starting a new life with a new love above ground, and yet he feels a responsibility to the helpers. Although Father has to make a difficult choice, the episode actually ends on an upbeat note using Vincent and Catherine's child as a symbol for hope. And now, Legacies, the last episode of Beauty and the Beast. Hi, I'm Lindsay Wagner, and welcome back to the Sci-Fi Channel's Final Curtain, the last episodes. During the 3 seasons of Beauty and the Beast's original network run, it attracted a large and devoted following. Fans loved the mystery and the romance that lurked in the tunnels beneath New York City. Even before her success in Terminator 2, this series made Linda Hamilton a household name, and it made Ron Perlman's character, Vincent, one of the sexiest men in America. I guess you could call it animal magnetism. Well, anyway, back to the final episode of Beauty and the Beast. I'm Lindsay Wagner. Let's return to the mystery and the romance of the last episode of Beauty and the Beast on the Sci-Fi Channel's Final Curtain, the last episodes.
You are watching Beauty and the Beast on the Sci-Fi Channel.
I'm Lindsay Wagner. Welcome back to Final Curtain, the last episodes on the Sci-Fi Channel. When Beauty and the Beast ended after only 3 seasons, fans swore not to let the memory of Vincent and Catherine die. They organized conventions and fan magazines, and soon new Beauty and the Beast tales were popping up as novels. While no one really knows if we'll ever see a new story of Vincent and Catherine on the screen, the Sci-Fi Channel is pleased to bring you all of the original episodes of Beauty and the Beast, every weekday at noon and 6 p.m. And now we present the conclusion of Beauty and the Beast. And then stay with us for our next installment of The Final Curtain, the last episodes. It's one that is near and dear to my heart, the final episode of The Bionic Woman, right here on the Sci-Fi Channel. Welcome back to the Sci-Fi Channel's special presentation, Final Curtain, the last episodes. I'm Lindsay Wagner. I played Jamie Summers in 58 episodes of The Bionic Woman. And when it came time for the final episode, my character had become more concerned with being a woman than being bionic. And after years of dedicated service to the OSI, Jamie decided that she had sacrificed enough, and she handed in a letter of resignation. But the government was not so anxious to let her go. After all, they considered her bionic parts to be government property. The episode starts out in a zoo, which is kind of a metaphor for the type of retirement they had in mind for Jamie. And what follows is an intensely human look at the character, her hopes, her dreams, and her doubts about what she's become. And now, On the Run, the last episode of The Bionic Woman. I'm Lindsay Wagner, and I think we ought to get back to Jamie Summers' deadly flight for freedom on this last episode of The Bionic Woman, here on the Sci-Fi Channel's Final Curtain.
You are watching The Bionic Woman on the Sci-Fi Channel.
The Bionic Woman was never intended to be a series. It was a two-part episode on the $6 Million Man. It was the love story in which they created the romantic counterpart, and at the end of it, they killed her. And the letters were just astronomical, and people were very angry that they created a female counterpart, and then she disappeared. So at one point, they realized they were going to have to bring me back to life. I was resurrected on network television. Very sweet thing happened after the first episode in which I died, and all the letters came in. One of the letters was sent to me anonymously by someone in the PR department who thought I might like to see it. It was from a hospital in Boston, a children's hospital, and one of the directors of the hospital had written how upset they were that the children were so upset about having created a female idol for the children to want to emulate and then killing her. They felt that was very irresponsible programming. And so I received this letter saying, I thought you might like to see this. And that was, of course, part of the spiral into a series. And now the conclusion of The Bionic Woman. Then stay tuned as Sam Beckett takes one last leap, perhaps the hardest of his life, next in the final episode of Quantum Leap, here on the Sci-Fi Channel's Final Curtain, the last episodes. For 4 seasons, Scott Bakula starred as Dr. Sam Beckett, leaping into the bodies and lives of other people in order to help them. Now, the concept of a traveling stranger helping people along his way has been the premise of many successful shows, including Route 66, The Fugitive, and The Incredible Hulk. But Quantum Leap gave the concept a sci-fi spin by putting its hero inside the skin of a different character every week. In the course of 97 episodes, Sam experienced life as a test pilot, a ball player, a rabbi, a blind jazz pianist, a mafia hitman, a space program chimpanzee, and even Lee Harvey Oswald. Dean Stockwell co-starred as Al, Sam's friend and holographic advisor from his own time in the future. And the relationship was laced with humor and poignancy as Sam wandered through time, exploring limitless possibilities. And it's the idea of being given a second chance to set things right that makes this final episode of Quantum Leap very special. Although Sam is recognizing some familiar faces from his previous lives, he doesn't seem to realize that he's met Al the bartender before. If you were watching Pilot Playhouse here on the Sci-Fi Channel, you saw actor Bruce McGill in the very first episode as Air Force psychiatrist Weird Ernie Ernst. And if he looks familiar to you, it may be because you remember him before he grew his beer belly, when he starred as D-Day in the classic film comedy Animal House.
You are watching Quantum Leap on the Sci-Fi Channel.
You know, Quantum Leap isn't Scott Bakula's first foray into science fiction. In fact, he has something of a bionic past himself. In 1987, he starred in a CBS pilot called Infiltrator as a scientist working on a teleportation device. Now, when he inadvertently materialized in the same space as a top-secret military robot, the machine vanished and merged into Scott's body. From that point on, when Scott's character was threatened with danger, he would involuntarily transform into a robotic warrior and bash the bad guys. CBS decided, well, a live-action Transformer wasn't for them. But their loss is our gain. Had the pilot become a regular series, we wouldn't be watching the final episode of Quantum Leap. I'm Lindsay Wagner, and welcome back to the final episode of Quantum Leap. Will Sam right this last wrong? If he does, Sam Beckett will leap one last time, but to where? Will Sam return home? Is he still leaping through time? Will we ever see Sam again? Well, while there has been talk of a continuation of the series, or possibly a movie, no one knows what the future, or the past for that matter, holds for Sam Beckett. In the meantime, you can see all of the episodes of Quantum Leap every weeknight at 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Sci-Fi Channel. In the next installment of Final Curtain, we'll see the final episode of The Prisoner. And now back to the conclusion of Quantum Leap. Hello, I'm Lindsay Wagner, and welcome back to Final Curtain, the last episodes on the Sci-Fi Channel. The Prisoner is without a doubt one of the most unusual and controversial television shows ever made. The final episode is no exception. As with all 17 episodes of the unique British series, draw a conclusion and you are bound to draw an argument from the fans of the show. The series took place in The Village, a mysterious place where fantasy and reality are hard to distinguish. You won't find a traditional story here. What you will find are abstract images, bizarre characters, and enough ambiguity to keep fans intrigued for years after the show ended. We recently spoke with noted science fiction writer Harlan Ellison about The Prisoner.
The basic idea of The Prisoner, for those of you who don't know, if you've been living in a cave for the last 25 years, is of a secret agent who resigns, who is then kidnapped, wakes up, and finds himself in the village.
Written and directed by the series star Patrick McGoohan, we now present Fallout, the final episode of The Prisoner.
You are watching The Prisoner on the Sci-Fi Channel.
I'm Lindsay Wagner, and we're back with the last episode of The Prisoner on the Sci-Fi Channel's Final Curtain, the last episodes. And now we're honored to have Harlan Ellison share with us more of his unique insights into The Prisoner.
It had an enormous impact when it was first aired, and it continues to have an impact 25 years later, not only because of the exuberant acting and the brilliant scripting and the excellent direction, but because it has a universality, a feel to it. It talks to the paranoid in all of us, the conspiracy theory loony in all of us.
I'm Lindsay Wagner, and I hope you've enjoyed Final Curtain, the last episodes here on the Sci-Fi Channel. If you've seen the Sci-Fi Channel's annual pilot Playhouse presentations, then you've had a glimpse of how some of these series began. And now we've seen the final episodes of these great series. If you want to get the whole picture, keep watching the Sci-Fi Channel for Beauty and the Beast, weekdays at 12 noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, and at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. The Bionic Woman can be seen right here every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Quantum Leap fans can join Sam and Al weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, and again at 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific. As for The Prisoner, watch for its return on the Sci-Fi Channel in the months ahead. Thank you again for joining us.